RWBY Volume 9 has finally premiered on Crunchyroll. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out because today we're going to be discussing the opening theme as well as the events of the episode itself and what it all says about the rest of the volume. My name is Deepcut, hit that subscribe button for more RWBY content all season long, and let's jump into it. Now, the episode itself we will dive a bit deeper into, but it was almost exactly what you'd expect from the previews and trailers, so much so that it felt a bit lacking. The entire episode is setting up something that has already been pretty well expressed in the promotional materials, and while there were a few twists and turns along the way, the new information we get is mostly from the opening theme, which, as is tradition, was saved for the end of the first episode of this volume. The first sequence of the opening is a beautiful flash of the characters who we'll be focusing on in this volume. Volume 8 ended with the RWBY gang trying to evacuate Atlas using the bridges created by Ambrosius, which he specifically warned them not to fall off of. Yang fell in, faking us out on her being dead, but the rest of the RWBY gang followed afterwards. This left their friends and the humans they are trying to help at the mercy of an incoming attack, with our core characters trapped in this wonderland-like setting called Ever After, which appears to be a cross-section of fairy tale-like settings. While I'm sure we'll see more glimpses of the world they left behind, this volume looks like it'll be focusing on our main RWBY crew, as well as Jean and Neapolitan. Jean was already theorized to be coming to Ever After due to what looked like some of his armor appearing in a shot from the trailer, and Neapolitan we know to have fallen into the dark with the RWBY team. Following the first colorful introduction of the characters, we see our main RWBY crew in a fun walking animation set, during which we get to see their previous costumes in beautiful modern form. It also features what looks like a new character, but more on her in a bit. These references to the old outfits was something also used in the trailer, where RWBY herself appears to have a confrontation with her past self from Volume 1. The series has been running for a long time now, with this of course being its 9th volume. No matter how great the girls grow, the weight of the world seems like it will inevitably crush them, and now they're stranded in the strange fairy tale realm while the people they tried so hard to save are at the mercy of their enemies. What this volume offers is a chance for us to see just how much our core characters have grown in relation to the growing darkness around them, a chance for the girls to examine themselves and what their motives were and where they are now. This Ever After is a place people seem to get lost in, and the girls could find themselves trapped here when their people need them the most. They will likely explore how futile this all feels, how even if they get back, they don't have the answers to save the people or the power to defeat their enemies. This place then becomes an opportunity to escape that harsh reality, to indulge in fantasy and to get lost. If they never return home, they are able to think of it as not being their fault, as perhaps having the power and skill to have saved the day back home, but never getting the chance to because of being trapped in Ever After. Following this, we get a quick montage of the natives of Ever After, first focusing on the mice, which were a big part of this first episode, with their little mouse friend accompanying them as a supposed guide going forward. The way this little mouse talks is very suspicious to me, and as we saw in the episode, it often seems like she is the one trying to confuse RWBY, despite how helpful she appears to want to be. I think at the end of the episode we see this illustrated perfectly by her saying she wants to be a guide to the girls, but then sleeping and drooling all over RWBY. Her goal is a classic Wonderland tactic, to confuse someone into helping you by constantly having them doubting their own words, taking whatever avenue you offer so that they maintain the relationship because it seems impossible to get you to understand anything else they are trying to convey to you. RWBY is stuck doing a lot to get what little tiny pieces of information she can out of a mouse who is perhaps purposely trying to hide as much as possible, letting out only enough to keep the parasitic relationship going. After this, we get a shot of the raccoon discussed in the Volume 9 trailer, a raccoon riding on a purple wagon full of trash that Yang claims stole her robotic arm. Here, the raccoon appears to be at some sort of night market as a salesperson, and with him putting on something of a show in the trailer, I imagine that he steals things, mostly trash, and tries to put on little shows to market them as valuable items to people in Ever After. Finally, we get a scene of the strange puppet man from the trailer with his creepy chessboard. Following that sequence, we get one of my favorite tropes in openings, characters running, with our RWBY gang traveling across several distinct areas, each being opened like the page of a book. The first location is the shore with the strange palm trees, the location of the first episode of the volume. With that in mind, the next few shots in the sequence are likely what to expect as far as scenery changes every 1 or 2 episodes going forward. The second location we see them running through is what appears to be the market location, where I imagine we'll run into the raccoon and get Yang's arm back. Walking with them here is this creepy cat, also strongly featured in the trailer, who of course appears to be modeled after the Cheshire Cat of Alice in Wonderland. I think it is interesting that they get a mouse first and a cat second, as the girls seem to be caught in a game of cat and mouse with both of these characters. The cat seems to be like the mouse, in which I mean that he probably will be saying mostly misleading things in order to achieve his own goals, both characters just toying with the girls and keeping them trapped in this little game, making them think that they have chances to escape, all for the amusement and perhaps benefit of the cat and the mouse. The third location is a garden with toy soldiers, this being very reminiscent of Alice in Wonderland. Inside here, I imagine we'd find the strange Puppet King guarded by his knights and challenging people who gets past them to chess matches. As the puppet theme suggests, I imagine him to be a puppet pretending to control the land, someone the girls go to for help, but all they learn from defeating him is that there is a real ruler somewhere behind him that they'll have to find. The final location in this sequence was the glowing forest, something we also saw in the trailer with big glowing mushrooms. At the end of this sequence, we also see the smoking caterpillar, yet another Alice in Wonderland character, with this being his domain, and perhaps who the Puppet King may have sent the girls to for answers, as they get ever closer to the tree that they hope will bring them back to their own world. Jean appears after this in front of a series of clocks. I imagine Jean will have gone after the girls, but knows that they don't have too much time before they have to return without there being drastic consequences, and all volume long I expect him to be just one step behind the girls, constantly trying to keep up. Next comes a fun shot of the girls running around a trippy maze, which I hope to be a real location explored, but that perfectly captures what this volume feels like it's going to be like, running back and forth between these mysterious places to get tiny pieces of puzzles because they don't know how to ask the appropriate questions, with the girls just lost in it all. Finally, we circle back to Neapolitan. For a moment, RWBY is looking at a mysterious girl, who turns into RWBY, something Neapolitan can do with her semblance and has done before. Neapolitan, of course, fell off the bridge with RWBY and appears to have washed up in Ever After just moments before RWBY would wash up, walking off before they could confront. Neapolitan washed up in a form very different from what we know her as in the show, but the fading from Neo to this new form in the opening seems to indicate that this colorful costume of Neapolitan's is just her semblance's illusion she creates for herself, and this is what she really looks like. However, as RWBY falls through a montage of Ever After related things, we see older photos of this girl with someone in the background. While this could be unrelated to Ever After, Neapolitan seems to have some sort of connection to this place, making it an odd place to fall to from the bridges created by Ambrosius. Some fans have speculated that this is the girl who fell through Remnant, a fairy tale discussed by Oscar and Ozpin in Volume 8. The story is described like Alice in Wonderland, but with the Alice-type character, named Alex, coming back from this journey sad. I had previously theorized this story to be about how Salem had fallen through the darkness and how she came out as her evil self afterwards, but this may instead be another very true fairy tale about someone else, someone like Neapolitan. We know her to have family in the world of Remnant, but perhaps she fell here at a very young age and came back to Remnant saddened by what she experienced. What's really interesting is in the previously mentioned running sequence, we can see this girl running with the others, or rather just ahead of them while cast in shadow. Just as I expect Jean to always be one step behind the RWBY gang this season, I expect them to always be just one step behind this girl, with us constantly getting little glimpses of what she did just before the girls got there at the end of each episode. I would not be surprised if the mouse revealed that she had in fact met another human, this one not being just the way RWBY described, as she had only described her friends and not this girl. Topping all of this off, we had a quick look at the strange beast that Yang was seen battling with in the episode. In the credits, he's revealed to be called the Jabberwocker, which appears to be a reference to the Jabberwock, a strange monster in a poem read by Alice in the novel Through the Looking Glass, but it did not make an appearance or even a mention in the animated film. But what did you guys think? Did you like the new opening? Did you like the new episode? Are you excited for this volume the way I am? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.